Welcome to Clarity Whisper, Art and Soul. Not everything that we imagine manifests. However, everything that has manifested was once imagined. We can imagine magical images, peace, joy, love, and harmony. My intuitive art is the manifestation of my imagination. I love to share it with you in the hopes that it will make your heart happy, even for just a wee moment. Welcome to Clarity Whisper, Art and Soul. I'm Catherine Whalen-Costin, and I am a Canadian intuitive artist. And I am also the host and producer of Let's Get Real Chatting with Catherine shows, which are on a pause, let's say. And on this channel, you will find many of the explorations I've done with various guests on various topics. I find that my art is really driven by, it's driven by spirit. It's driven by downloads of information that will be expressed in various ways. And recently, I've noticed we're in September 5th, 2021, and I could see a pattern happening, but I wasn't really aware of what the meaning behind it, which sometimes happens to me with downloads of information. And that is the Divine Feminine Rising. And one of the first paintings I did, which you can see on my website, is the Divine Violet Flame, Divine Feminine Rising. And I was more than a little bit surprised because it was one of the early paintings. And as some of you know, I've only just started paintings in March of 2021. So all of my paintings are quite surprises to me. However, what was very evident was these wisps of flames, smoke, flames. In that particular painting, it was a violet flame. And I have known for some time about the shift on this planet and the suppression of the feminine, the divine feminine in particular, for a very long time to our detriment. And she's back. And she is back, and she has had enough. And it is coming through in various paintings, and I've just started a new series, which I am calling Cosmic Ladies of Transformation. There's a lot of fire in these, a lot of flame, a lot of messages that are telling me this is our time. This is our time as women, but it's also our time as a species to get in balance. We've been out of balance. We have been believing a lot of story from the very patriarchal, dominant ideology on this planet. There's some things that have been said over time about human nature, that we always will fight, that there can't be peace, that we, men are the rightful leaders in the world, in the judicial system, in religious organizations, in families. There are people who believe that men have a higher intellect because they have a penis, which is interesting because there really isn't much of a connection there other than biological. And I think what's really coming to me very clearly is as we look at some of the things happening in the world, the oppression of women globally in various forms, and at the same time the exploitation of women. Now, many of us know that whether you're male or female, you are going to have both masculine and feminine energies. It's simply a matter of which is more dominant, or which you allow to be more dominant, which you feel more resonance with. And it is my belief that we have had many lifetimes on this planet, most of us, There may be some that this is the first time. However, we are seeing a resurgence of trying to control women's reproduction. And when I look at that, it's very interesting because I was unaware of the circumstances in the United States because I live in Canada and we're in the middle of an election, and I am following that more closely as far as what policies are going to be supporting the earth, our home, our environment, and what is going to support women, because women have carried the burden of so much of society's production of, I want to say, both, human beings, caring for human beings, whether that's children or seniors or family as a whole or in society. And many of our professions have been dominated by women carrying these roles as servants, women in service, in domestic roles and otherwise. We've had great periods of time where two people, a man and a woman in an office, holding fairly similar positions, and the man will ask the woman to bring him coffee. This is not, this is habit. This is habit grown from entitlement that was taught. This man probably has a spouse at home, likely a woman, who he also expects to bring him whatever he needs. His mother probably did the same. And these are things that were expected. A lot of homes, the sons were the ones who got the most food, got fed first, got whatever needed, because they were going to go out and be, in the world. And the expectation, especially, in the earlier 1900s, 50s, 60s, even in the 70s to some degree, there was a belief that the male was going to be the breadwinner and the female was going to be the housekeeper, cook, raising the children, and so forth. This is, we have to study all through history to really get an understanding of how different roles have been played. We have been taught through marketing, more than anything, what is acceptable, what is the right way for women and men to behave, and how to dress, and how to be in the world, and what jobs we could have. And this has nothing to do with how the Creator, God, the all that is, the universe, designed the human body, the human, that which spirit embodies. This has nothing to do with that. This is totally man-made, as all of our religions are, man-made. And it's no really surprise that we use the term man-made, because a lot of these things did come from that very toxic masculine, which we know as the patriarchy. The dominance of the feminine represented in the female is really something we are used to, It's something we've become accustomed to. The earth we call Mother Earth. She is the womb of creation on this planet, where all things, all life forms depend on her. Healthy womb of creation. And women also carry that ability of creation through the womb. And I find it so remarkable that at this time where we're seeing Mother Earth rebelling and changing and shifting, whether we want to or not, She has decided, she has consciousness, and she has changed, and she is continuing to change, and we will either change, adapt, or perish. We have choice, and so does she. And she has decided she is no longer going to tolerate our violence towards her, our lack of respect, our attempts. And you know, please understand when I say our, I say that in quotes because there's very few who are actually in positions of controlling what we think, what we know, what we're able to know, what information we can determine, you know, fact from. We are being saturated by a lot of propaganda. And we have been since we've been on this planet in various forms. There's propaganda to go to war. There's propaganda to buy a new washing machine, you know. And the feminine has been used much like Mother Earth. And when I say feminine in this context, I'm talking about the female human. We have been used for marketing. We have been used to produce children for workforces, for in families. You know, we needed to produce so many children to work on the farm or work in the family business or take over the family business. That was our job, to produce children for those roles. To produce, I mean, the churches denied women birth control because we needed more people, more workers, more consumers, more people to work, more people to buy the products that were being produced, more profit for the few, more hard labor for the masses. And as they, you know, go across the globe, raping and pillaging and taking the resources of the planet to simply control. And I mean, I'm not going to try to get into the mind of the insanity of it all, because you can't make sense of insanity. I've been trying to do that all my life, and it's ridiculous, really ridiculous. It doesn't make sense. I don't know the mind of God. I don't know the agenda. I don't know where this patriarchy started or what was the point of it all. A great experiment. However, what I feel so strongly and passionately, and that came through my paintings, because I kept being drawn to this fire and what it represents, and the feminine rising up and taking her rightful place on the planet. And now we're having a lot of talk again about controlling women's reproduction. And it's interesting because controlling women's reproduction also controls the family. It controls society. Who can have babies and who cannot. And the value of a woman depending on what society decided, whether she has a womb or she doesn't have a womb. And whether she's using it the way the patriarchy wants her to. And there are places where you hear it all the time, places that are overpopulated. And they talk about those people as if they are subhuman, because all they're doing is reproducing, and that's wrong. And then you have people in the Western cultures who are saying, you know, you can't control your reproduction. And we know what happens when we don't control our own reproduction, and we are not supported by society as a whole. There are many, many women who have multiple births, 5, 6, 7, 10 children, who are looked down on. And so we have these mixed messages all the time. The female body, which is so complex, so amazing, it is meant for, yes, creation. And creation has many forms. It's not only giving birth to children. That creation and that incredible ability to bring that feminine energy through us. Throughout history, women have been healers, very adept with their psychic gifts, very adept at creating foods and nourishment and even healing toxins, healing toxins in the body through their wisdom that comes to them through inspiration, which many would say is the Holy Spirit, which is often considered feminine energy. So that is powerful. If you have the ability to, if you think about this, you have the ability to create life within your womb, to hold it, to nourish it, to give birth to it, and then you have the ability to heal, to connect with the metaphysical, the spirit world, to get insight, to connect with nature, to know which herbs and foods are going to bring homeostasis to the body. And you know all those things as a woman. And there is no profit in that for the people who are only seeking profit. You cannot give a person a pharmaceutical remedy if they can go in their yard and pick a herb and it'll work. So these wise women that were burned as considered witches, they weren't killed because of a religious belief. It was part of the patriarchal ideology. It's the same reason in other religions that women were told to obey. Obey the male in their world. Obey the father, obey the husband, sometimes obey the brother, whoever was the oldest male. This is a total denigration of the feminine and of the female and of creation, because we were not created to be inferior at all, much like planet Earth. We cannot force her to give us life. We can plant seeds all we want. If we do not prepare that environment, if we do not contribute love and respect the environment, she's not going to produce the seeds that are healthy for us to consume, for animals to eat, that we eat, for all life forms. She cannot. And women cannot produce healthy children in an environment that's toxic. When we know from science now that women whose babies are conceived or she's carrying that pregnancy during very stressful times, that baby's development is affected. Of course. We can't pour toxins on this earth, in the water, in our food supply, because of this overconsumption, because of this overproduction, which is leading to a lot of waste. It's leading to a lot of preservatives and things being put into our food so that we can buy, and then being sold constantly that we need to have more all the time, which leads us to debt, which leads to more stress, which leads to more illness, in my opinion. I'm not a doctor, and there's plenty of experts on all of what I'm saying. Only sharing with you today from the point of view that I can see the connection between this patriarchal dominance on this planet that has caused women to suffer so greatly in the imbalance in wages, our ability to feed our children, house our children, having to use our sexuality in ways that we might not wish to. And I will say this, that I believe very strongly that the feminine is meant to be respected, honored, pleasured, that her pleasure and the pleasure of the creative process is what brings about the healthy, beautiful, nourishing, wonderful fruit. And we have been trained to believe that male pleasure is the most important thing. And that is why I believe there's so much dissatisfaction on this planet. Because if you are not, a relationship is give and receive. And if you're not giving and you're only taking, you're never going to be satisfied. I believe that's the balance of creation. There has to be balance of energy. And we have seen, in particular with women, being used for male pleasure, being marketed for male pleasure, titillation and entertainment and all things that really denigrate the female body and make it a commodity, an object. And men have been objectified as well, because the controlling ideology is to keep us believing we are inferior and that we are not good enough. And so we're always trying to prove that we are, by various things, by buying the products we're sold that tell us that we will be if we buy it, but also by our ability to produce. For women, it's producing children or not producing children, depending on where you live. For men, it's producing goods, labor. And if you don't produce, then we have this whole stereotypical belief that you have no worth. And this is simply not true. Everyone has worth and value. If you're here on the planet, you matter. That's what matter is. You came from spirit, you become matter. You matter. Every single one of us. And we all have a purpose. And the purpose is not to repeat history. It's not to parrot what is already known, but it is to come and explore with whatever gifts we came with and bring those gifts out into the world to share our wisdom, our knowledge, maybe from other lifetimes, from what we learned when we were in spirit, came back into this life, all of those things. Each individual has unique gifts and talents, regardless of gender. And we instead are believing that, children are born, there's a boy, there's a girl. And therefore that boy must dress this way, must look this way, must take on these tasks, must act a certain way. And there's the girl, and she must the same. Dress and act like mini adults. And they are being sexualized because sex, our sensuality and our sexuality have been tied so closely to money. And we have an attitude on this planet that men are entitled to their pleasure and women must give pleasure. But of course it doesn't work, because unless a woman is respected and has been given pleasure herself, she can't give it truly. And that's why men are not being satisfied. That's why young men are being taught they think it's their right to simply have sex. And we're not animals. And animals don't just have sex. They have it in cycles. The planet just doesn't produce all the time. There are seasons. There's seasons where she rests. Seasons where we're blanketed in snow. Seasons where the temperature is cooler. Seasons where there's great growth. And right now our seasons are out of whack because of she's changed. She's not going to tolerate anymore. And we've contributed to it, no doubt, with our greed, our toxic poisoning, air, land, soil, everything. Experiments, dropping missiles and bombs into the oceans and on the land to experiment, to test them. Slaughtering people. These things are toxic to a consciousness of Mother Earth and the womb of creation on this planet. A healthy planet can thrive no matter how many people are here. We wouldn't be here if we didn't have a purpose. People are worried about overpopulation, and then people are worried that women will choose not to have a baby, not to produce. So we don't have all of these human beings we can send to war, killing each other for those who make money off of war. You can't sell people war machines and propaganda that were being sold about who to hate, who to fear. You can't sell that to people if we don't believe it. And this is what the womb represents to me, is this incredible wisdom of the feminine. The womb of creation knows we don't need to hate anybody or fear anybody, that we need to take our power back and learn to live in harmony and peace on this planet, even though many people will tell you that can't be done. And I say, just because it can't be done in the past does not mean it can't be done in the future. These things we buy into, these ideas of what's possible on this planet, it's propaganda for the most part. You know, before Nikola Tesla created free energy, nobody would have believed it. But even years later, people still didn't believe it or understand it because his evidence was destroyed, because it wasn't for profit. It was free. We have a lot of work to do, but I really feel that this is when the feminine, you know, in harmony with Mother Earth, and by her example, when she rages, I feel that rage. When she is, you know, crying out, burning hot, she is saying enough is enough. And I think a lot of women on this planet are saying the same thing. We're not here as a commodity. We're not here to be manipulated and used. We have seen women, you know, we have two stereotypes. We have the Virgin Mary and the whore. Two extremes. And neither one of those are true. You know, I mean, they're stereotypes, they're archetypes. Yes, that's true. But prostitution or giving of your sexuality, trading it, if it is the woman's choice and she gains pleasure from that, and whether the pleasure comes from the actual sex act or it comes from the money that's exchanged or the gifts or whatever that might be, when there is pleasure and it's her choice, it's honorable and respectful. That is how it is meant to be. We all have gifts given to us so we can exchange them with each other on this planet. And those gifts cannot be taken from us. When a woman's sexuality is violated, there's no pleasure. And the one taking it is not going to have pleasure either. A temporary orgasmic moment, perhaps, but they won't be satisfied. And I think that's the reason we have so much dissatisfaction, so much unquenchable greed on this planet, because there is no pleasure. There is no respect. There is no honoring the feminine. And when we do not honor the feminine, we are not going to create, produce, grow, thrive. We cannot. Whether that is in our sexual relationships, our personal relationships with each other, and with the planet. We can't do that. We can't continue to do this. We've done it. We believed it. We've been vilified for standing up to it. But a lot of it has to do with that fact that there's a belief system in certain people that has been taught that male, toxic masculine, is entitled to everything on this planet, including other people, particularly women. that it is their entitlement to use, to abuse, to objectify, to use them for marketing, to sell their products, to produce their war machine, to buy their products. And that is not true, and it is killing us. It is killing us on this planet. We have to elevate and we have to teach our young people, both boys and girls. And this means when they are little, we do not dress little girls up like adult women. And we do not dress little boys up like adult men. They're children. You know, these ideas about what we can do, women wear dresses and men don't. Well, that is so not true. In all these judges wear robes, very much like a dress I wear. Priests, clergy in other religions, they wear dresses, men. There is, makeup has been worn throughout history. Men have worn high heels in different periods of history. So it isn't about male, female. It is about what was popular at the time, what's trending. I mean, there were periods in history where you would see you had to change your hemline according to the fashion manufacturer. Well, that's got nothing to do with human life. It has to do with a profiting machine. You know, we've been taught so much that is not true that it becomes, you know, people are being vilified for trying to research and find what is true. And it doesn't matter what we're looking at, whether it's the human body, my health, your health. We have been taught that everybody must do this. Everybody must eat meat. Everybody must not eat meat. Everybody must be plant-based, you know, food, or we're all going to die. Or everybody must support, eat margarine because the doctor says it's the best thing for you. Now no, that's not true. So it doesn't matter which period of history you're looking at. The idea that we give our authority and power away and do not listen to the feminine within us, whether we're male or female, this is what's cost us so much. Because I can tell you from a personal experience, what I eat and the way I live is very different from the rest of my family, and it always has been. As we're unique, you cannot legislate or insist that everyone do the same thing. We're not here to be a mass of groupthink. We are here to be individuals and to express our gifts individually and to be rewarded for doing so in a positive way and to have our basic needs met. And the only reason we are not having our basic needs met for many people is because we're not doing the thing that the patriarchy wants done. There's a lot of money and always has been for war, but there's never been a lot of money or endorsement for peace. We have vilified the tree hugger, the one who loves the planet, the person who says, yes, thank you for sustaining us. We say, oh, that's, flower power and kumbaya. Yes, flower power and kumbaya. Get serious. These are the energies that we need. More love, more peace, more understanding. It's not just about tolerating people. As a woman on this planet at this time, there's nothing that is more heartbreaking than seeing other women trying to control their fellow women, females, by endorsing ideology that suppresses and oppresses and puts women in poverty and out of their sovereign power. Nothing breaks my heart more than to see that, even though I understand fully that all of us, women and men, have been taught to believe stories about what is our role, what is our right, what is our entitlement. And much of it was, in my opinion, very, very wrong. And as we cannot force this earth to produce on demand, on command, because we say so, we cannot force God, the universe, creator, to do what we want. That's not how it works. And we cannot force women to produce healthy children. And at the same time, we're saying we're not going to allow women to have control over their own reproduction, but we're not going to teach people how to care for children once they are born. We are not going to, and this is the feminine. This is, and actually it's the very healthy divine masculine as well. The feminine is the receiver, and the masculine is the doer. And we both have both inside us. When I create a painting, the inspiration comes from the feminine. The actual painting is the masculine in me doing the painting under direction of the feminine. And when I do that, the result is amazing. And I love that. And when I share it with you, and when I do the business side of that's the masculine doing. But the feminine has the idea, the inspiration, the visualization, the creativity. She takes the seed in, she holds it, and she allows it sometimes for a long period of time to percolate, to gestate, and to become beyond the vision. That's the feminine's job. And the woman can receive the seeds from the male and not produce offspring. It is her womb. This planet belongs to Gaia, belongs to the creator, the all that is. But Gaia is a consciousness, and she has free will. This is a free will planet. And she does not have to allow us to be here. She does not have to produce food for us to eat, no matter how much we force her, no matter how many toxins and fertilizers and things we put into the land and say, grow. She does not have to do that. And she will not if we do not change our ways. And part of that is making that connection between the earth and humanity, and honoring women, respecting women, elevating women to their proper status. And that is not beneath men. It is not anything like that. Women are not here to serve men. That has been, we have done it. We have been handmaids. We have been servants. We have been slaves. We have done it. And it was not our job. And many women are realizing that now. We are here to bring that divine feminine energy to this earth and to encourage the divine masculine to rise up and meet us and to let go of that toxic patriarchal masculinity that is all about dominating others, controlling others for the profit of the few at the expense of the masses and our beautiful planet. So thank you for listening, and I hope this gave you some food for thought. I know I've gone on for a while here, and it's such an issue for me. I'm so passionate about it. It is the issue of our times, because she's here. She's rising, and she will not stop. She won't go back to sleep. She's not going to be oppressed again. She will not let us put her down, because we need her. We need her, and this plant needs her. And we have to remember that should her consciousness be to the point where she decides enough of our toxic ways of living, one shake and we're gone. So I think it does us all some good to connect with her, connect with this earth, connect with the divine feminine, the Holy Spirit, whatever you want to call it, and the divine masculine and create balance in our personal lives, in our communities, in our politics, in our monetary system. We need it. We absolutely need it. Thank you for listening. I hope you've enjoyed this, and please feel free to share it with people that you think might enjoy it. If you didn't enjoy it and you listened this far, well, I'm amazed, and just move on. It's not for everyone, and I simply put it out there. I offer it just like I offer my paintings for sale. And if people are wanting to buy them, all the information's on the website, and I'll put the links on the video. Thanks so much, and we will talk to you soon. In the meantime, much pleasure to you, and take care.